well save your life.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. First things first, can we get a sound check? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Welcome in Diamonds, She Warrior, Jill Moser. Thank you. All right, guys, today we're going to break this live stream into two parts. The first part, we're going to do Sleuth Crew news. We're going to cover a bunch of cases. That should cover the first hour. Second hour, we're going to talk about high-profile, compartmentalized killers and their personality disorder types. So we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance and things like that too. So some of the cases that we're going to talk about should have updates within the last week and a half, week or two. So we're not going to spend too much time on Puff Daddy. Apparently he's seeking an acquittal. I know some of you are following that case. Not me personally, but we'll touch on that. And then we'll move over to some information being released in the Idaho college murders, Bryan Kohberger. Apparently that is a photo from the day they arrested him. He has been placed into solitary, his forever home. I believe that's 23-hour lockdown. So we're going to talk about that. They also released new body cam of a traffic stop. So we'll talk about the traffic stop. We'll show that and what that all means. Richard Allen recently transferred. I think they requested a hearing today for an extension. There's a new documentary out. Comes out tomorrow. So let's get together. This live stream here, Sleuth Crew Review, Part 1. I think it's in 3 parts. Capturing their killer, the girls on the high bridge. We'll do a review on each part. That'll be out tomorrow. Make sure you guys go watch it on Hulu. And then we'll talk about it. All right, we're also going to talk about the West Memphis 3 case, new DNA testing. Same thing with the Evansdale case. We'll talk about that for a little while, new DNA testing. Asia Degree. Now, we had bombshell information released on her case earlier in the year. Well, what happened? Well, the Deadmans were the accused. Some of their family members have come out publicly and put a spin on the narrative. So I want to hear what you have to say about that. And of course, the Devil's Den. They've arrested this maniac here over my left shoulder. So what now? And then Austin Drummond. They're still looking for this guy. A lot of activity today. They had the dogs out. It seems like they're right on his trail. So hopefully they're right behind him. The manhunt continues. We'll talk about where we're at with that case. And then we'll get into some, try to get into the mind of some of these high-profile killers and what motivates them and what's going on with them and how we might be able to see them coming. High-profile compartmentalized killers and their personality types. Well, more of their personality disorder types, right? So what do we mean when we say compartmentalized? Well, that usually means they live a double life, emotionally detached, and don't experience cognitive dissonance. And we'll talk about what cognitive dissonance is. And then everything in between. Let's see who we have in the building. So I already got you, Diamonds. Good to see you. Christine, Jari, Fishy. What up, Louise? Good to see you. My guy, Mark. Who else is in here? All right. Everybody lurking. Big shout out to you lurkers. A big FU to you haters and trolls. Oh, speaking of haters and trolls, I added 2 new short clips. Let's watch those real quick. And then we'll get into the chaos. Oh, here it is.
It's very bad now. Very bad karma.
Okay.
Oh shit, that's so loud. So that'll probably be for my viewers who think it's cool to chat and drive. You know, we use that one and this one.
Listen, give me all you got. I swear, me and my brother.
I'm gonna have to turn that one down. And then this
But
one.
I am telling you right now, that back there is not real.
Yeah, both of those are a little bit loud. We'll fix that. She Warrior, good to see you. Phil Bond. So how many of you are keeping up with the Puff Daddy case? I mean, I thought we were dealing with some kind of mastermind Jeffrey Epstein. Is he getting off the hook or was he being railroaded? Sometimes I wonder if that's the strength, you know, the weaponization of the media. If somebody with enough power and influence, let's say the owner of a huge conglomerate, some media company, you know, let's say you own ABC and Puff Daddy pisses you off, so you retaliate. You could do a lot of harm to somebody. So was he being railroaded? Or was he doing basically another version of Jeffrey Epstein? Videotaping powerful people in provocative positions and then blackmailing them. Right. Kind of like what Israel's doing to the United States, I think, perhaps. Or were, anyway. Mark says, kind of listened to the male stripper. He was telling some wild stories. Yeah. And apparently that's what he got charged for. They did seem to try to put a spin on it like he wasn't the John, right? He wasn't the one having sexual intercourse. He was just watching it. But still, he's the one paying the money. He's the one that's kind of setting it up. And just because you're there watching doesn't mean you're not a participant, right? That's your pleasure. A little bit of both. Does anyone know what the 2 little girls were cousins? Are you talking about Lyric and Elizabeth? Not sure what you're referring to, Kristen. All right, let's take a look. Sean P. Diddy Combs was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges in July of 2025, but was convicted on 2 counts of transportation for prostitution involving ex-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and Jane. I don't know if that's I think that's an actual fake name. He remains in custody, so he's still in jail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, awaiting sentencing on October 3rd, 2025, facing up to 5 to 7 years in prison. He also faces over 80 civil lawsuits alleging sexual assault and coercion. So what happened? I thought we were dealing with some evil kingpin. And they boiled it down to him being into some kinky, weird shit. They basically kink. What do they call it? Kink shaming. They kink shamed him. So I don't know, and they still have him in prison. I feel like this is some kind of political business vendetta. Maybe a power play. All right, let's talk about this freaking guy here. I mean, this is probably the purest example of a psychopath, right? Arguably, but it's a pretty good example. So that photograph right there, I believe that's the day they arrested him. That photograph was released, I think, about a week ago. And 2 days ago, he was placed in solitary confinement. So he's in segregation too. So he's right where he wants to be, right? Living a parasitic lifestyle while maintaining his antisocial way of living. So let's look at Bryan Kohberger's bleak life in solitary confinement.
Is getting used to his new life in solitary confinement after the 30-year-old was sentenced to life in prison for the 2022 murders of 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. He has been moved to solitary confinement. The Idaho Department of Corrections confirms on July 31st. The convicted murderer now lives in the long-term restrictive housing of J Block in the Idaho Maximum Security Institute.
Diamond says part of the plea deal should have included his testimony and cross-examination to clear up questions. Yeah, I agree. They should have continued to negotiate, but when you have somebody like Bryan Kohberger making a deal where he's waiving his right to an appeal, the prosecution is like getting anxious. You know, it's kind of like I don't know, Tony Montana walking into a room filled with cokeheads. They're like, crawling across the floor trying to get at them. So they wanted to seal that deal. It was very fragile, I think, in their mind. Like, oh my God, this is everything we've wanted. Because all they care about is scoring that touchdown. But the truth is, rarely do you get that. That's very rare. I've been covering true crime 4 years now, going on 4 years, and I only remember maybe 2 or 3 cases like that, where the damage that was done, they're able to get the conviction, they're able to have the suspect waive their right to an appeal, right? Quid pro quo, no death penalty, no appeal.
A spokesperson for the department told NBC affiliate
up,
KTV B7. Inmates live in single prison cells, are provided a shower every other day, and are allowed 1 hour of outdoor
Say hello to my little friend. Oh, here comes the addicts.
Recreation per day, according to the IDOC. Officials noted that inmates have access to religious services, communication through the prison's JPay system, as well as a commissary.
Look at that place.
Bryan is among the 120.
It does make me feel a little bit better knowing that he's going to spend forever there. But still, I feel like he already knew that. He's like, I'm going to make this so brutal that it'll be worth it. And then I'll go to prison where I always knew I was heading, living a parasitic life, and somewhat of a hero to some, right? I don't know why these killers become heroes, but they do. You know, people begin to idolize them.
28 prisoners who reside in J Block. Another notable inmate living in the facility is Chad Daybell, Lori Vallo's husband, who is currently on death row after being found guilty for the murders of his first wife, Tammy Douglas Daybell, along with Lori's kids, Joshua J.J. Vallo, and daughter, Tylee Ryan. E-News has reached out to the Idaho
hear that?
Department of Corrections.
So he's going to be locked up with these fools, with Daybell. I wonder what that's going to be like. I wonder if they'll pass each other ever. They both have to be in segregation. They're both equally hated. All right. Let's talk about the traffic stop. Let me pull that up. Put that right there. All right. The traffic stop took place on August 21st, 2022 at 11:40 p.m. on the Pullman-Moscow Highway, which connects Moscow, Idaho to Pullman, Washington. Let's take a look at that. So somewhere along here. So here's Pullman, Moscow Highway. Just across the border is Moscow. So he's being pulled over somewhere within here. August 21st at 11:40 p.m. Kohberger, then a PhD criminology student at Washington State University, was driving in the area near the University of Idaho when the murders later occurred.
Pullman and Farm with Pennsylvania. Lincoln Frank Zebra.
What's up, bad actors?
8649.
Bad actors. There you go. The power of manifestation, right? That's a good point. All right. You worship the devil. Speak of the devil. Careful what you wish for. You ever seen that movie Wishmaster? It's a good one.
Hey there.
Wow.
I stopped you going a little fast. You didn't realize.
Sorry, I don't mean to stop that. I want to go to bad actors here. I heard an ex-con channel that the two are communicating and are diagonally across from each other. Who the hell would do that? I feel like they do that to provoke them. You guys ever seen Silence of the Lambs? Who's the creepy doctor that's kind of overseeing Hannibal Lecter's prison? What was his name again? Well, anyway, he like secretly records conversations between Clarice and Hannibal Lecter. I feel like they're doing something very similar, trying to study them.
This is 35.
Oh, it's 35?
It is. Yeah, so you go.
What's up, Sherry?
Yeah, 43 is what the
Jet
radar
set.
said. Oh, yeah. You have your license, the registration, insurance?
Dumbbell. Oh, there you go, bootleg. Dr. Chilton, I presume.
Were you wearing your seatbelt when I stopped
Yeah,
you?
it was right there on the tip of my tongue.
No. That's no good.
Just being honest with you.
Yeah,
Look how stupid this idiot. First of all, he's dumb for not wearing a seatbelt. Right? You're already asking for it. The cop asks him, "Were you wearing your seatbelt?" He's like, "No, just being honest." Like, I just want you to think there's no morality when it comes to law enforcement, right? They feel like you've already broken that by breaking the law. Not to mention, for me, it's obvious that this cop is going to receive a bonus, apparently, for getting a citation for no ticket, or excuse me, a ticket for no seatbelt. So yeah, he doesn't care if you're being honest. The fact that you said that, he's like, oh, one more. It's another $10 Amazon gift card.
Appreciate that.
You guys are. There's absolutely no point not being honest.
Yeah.
You have a radar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a
Good eye. Bad actor says inside the dash lights are all off. Yeah, that to me that tells me either he did that physically or he took the keys out, perhaps. But I don't know. Most vehicles, you take the keys out, the lights will stay on because it can, the sensors that are in the seat, they can feel that your butt's still there.
vehicle registration slip or something like that?
Yeah, that's Bryan Kohberger.
Okay.
Or did I give you my insurance?
Yeah, this is your insurance. That's good. Thing is, I'm on a overtime shift right now. One of the conditions is we have to enforce seatbelt laws. And
See, he said I'm on an what did he say? Overtime shift, and he's obligated to hit him with the seatbelt charge, right?
so, to write you a citation for that, it's $10 in Idaho. Not a huge deal, but yeah. Be right back.
$10. That's probably what, 5 for him. Here, I think I can speed through this. He's kind of sitting there for a while. Click, 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 click. Now he's walking back.
All right, sir. Here's your license back.
What's up, Eli?
It's here, just an infraction citation. The only thing you're alleging, failure to wear your seatbelt on the traffic stop. They said the fine at that's $10. You do have the right to a hearing on this if you'd like one.
Right. He's like, I only got you with the one that's going to get me money later on. Right. If I get like 10 more of these, I'm going to get $100.
If you'd like hearing, you need to request it before September 8th at 8:30. Otherwise, they'll automatically be entered against you. You'll lose the right to the hearing. I just wanted to pay it. The mailing address there, website right there.
Yeah, I just have a question about that. So in terms of when you get a speeding ticket, that's obviously reported to your insurance. Is that the same thing with the seatbelt?
I don't think so. I think it's only moving violations that go to insurance, or things that might put points on your license.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Could I get a phone number from you?
Yeah, why?
We need to put it.
Bryan Kohberger says, why do you need my phone number? Like, just give it to him. Like, who cares? But he's obviously planning a murder.
On the citation as it goes to the court.
Just for future reference, I mean, I'm obviously an honest person, right? I told you I wasn't wearing my safety belt. When people lie to you about that,
He said, obviously, I'm an honest person, and I didn't lie to you about the seatbelt.
say I lied to you about that, right? Just for my own knowledge. You honestly go back and look at that, or you just
With a seatbelt like this, I didn't check as I was coming up, so that's why I asked you.
Do you usually?
I should. I noticed you weren't wearing it, and I'm on this emphasis, and like I said, I'm getting paid by ICD, and they want us to enforce the seatbelt law, so I was being more aware of that. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good night.
All right. What do you guys think about that interaction? Quite strange. So he got pulled over somewhere in between Pullman and Moscow. And remember, there's a reason that he picked Moscow, not only because it's close, but it was across state lines. It makes it a little bit difficult for investigators when there's different jurisdictions involved. You know, that's all by design. And notice the anchor point, right? Pullman to Moscow. So if he committed another murder, maybe in another neighboring small town somewhere nearby, but not too far away, about the same distance away, you could start to use criminology to kind of piece that together. I mean, he just seems like so cold. From day one, he's just cold. There's like nothing there. When he took his plea deal, when he had his plea deal hearing, nothing. No emotion. When he had his sentencing, no emotion. He has the same look in his eye that he did when he did the walk of shame, you know, when they're cuffed, when they first arrest him and the media is swarming around him. Same look, cold as ice. She warrior, very strange. She kind of got cocky over the seatbelt thing. Yeah, he has no empathy. The only dissonance he really even experiences is probably, you know, when it's related to his ego. Like, I bet you he experienced dissonance when he realized he left that knife sheath there. That's probably it. Not normal cognitive dissonance, right? Where we're trying to balance our political, our spiritual, and our personal lives, you know, trying to make those all meet in the middle logically. They don't do that. They just don't care about people. And I'm talking about these high profile, compartmentalized personality disorder ridden serial killers. Yep, that probably hit him right in the gut. And I always enjoyed that. I always enjoyed knowing that. You know, we would cover this case, and every time I would think of that, just knowing somewhat how a psychopathic killer might think. You know, we always think we know, but it always turns out to be the opposite. Right? We're expecting it to be. That's why the West Memphis 3 case is so confusing. Because the West Memphis 3, they look like what you would expect killers to be, but the truth is it's Ned Flanders, you know what I mean? Those types, the BTK killer. So it's very confusing. And that's why West Memphis 3, that case is very confusing. And to me, it's a deep mystery because I believe that they are the killers. Not only is this a rare case of them looking like the killers, I believe that they actually are. Cindy, what's going on? Happy to see you. Nice. Good for you. Good for you. Cindy says they are guilty. And you guys are all allowed to have your own opinions. You know, I'm not here to dictate that. As long as you're chill about it. You know, you're not stupid. I'm not stupid. Or we're both stupid. But none of this, I'm better than you. You know, it's just our opinions. At the end of the day, we're just trying to bring attention to certain things. All right, let's talk a little bit about this dude here. Richard Allen. He still has a fan club. You know, they're still fighting for him. And the crazy thing is, people that support Richard Allen, you'll hear them say things like, look at Dave McCain. Look at his timeline. Well, that's the same reason that you're telling us to look at McCain, Dave McCain. That's why we're looking at Richard Allen. So why Why aren't you making the same connection? Like, it's obvious to me that both timelines are very curious and deserve the equal amount of attention. But why are you ignoring Richard Allen's obvious timeline? I understand that you think he might have been railroaded. That doesn't mean that he's innocent. You can be railroaded and still be guilty. So, the very least, he's the number one suspect. So, I don't get that part. Cindy says, you can have your opinion if you disagree with me, but you will still be wrong. I love it. There you go. Oh, look, a squirrel. Wait, you mean we can't get all back like and tell you how you are wrong? We are right? Yes, basically. So I think you're saying the same thing as Cindy. Poor little Ricky. Okay, so Richard Allen's prison transfer confirmation. On July 19th, 2025, it was reported that Richard Allen, convicted in November of 2024 for the 2017 murders of Abby Williams and Libby German, was transferred to Lexington Assessment and Reception Center in Oklahoma. And I think today there was breaking news that his defense team requested an extension. I wonder what's going on. So he's transferred. Some information is leaked online about some white car, and now there's an extension. It's all these dirty lawyer tricks, you know? They're really good at doing that. Creating a buzz. All right, what about the new documentary? Who is the Delphi killer? I think I have a clip on that. Here, let's watch this.
First time I saw the picture, really could have been anybody. My husband Ricky was like, well, I was out on the trail. First time I
Well, I was out on the trail. Like, what the? Don't forget, guys, we're going to review part 1. It's a 3-part series. It airs tomorrow on Hulu. I'm going to watch it. So later that day, you guys make sure you all watch it, and then we're going to review it. Nope, nothing new, Diamonds. I did tip something into the FBI. So that's some channel news there. So as soon as I heard that they were on the case, I sent them everything that I had. It wasn't a lot. But I sent it to them. Right, so we're going to review this. I think it's going to be real interesting to hear what Kathy Allen has to say. And apparently Rick, I guess, gives an interview. I'm not quite sure what that is. I know Kathy gives one, but it looks like Rick might give an interview. What the hell does he? He hasn't spoken this entire time. If I was innocent, I'd be screaming from the rooftops. Bad actors. Yep, 3 parts. So we're going to review it. Every day that one of the parts airs, we're going to review it right away. Well, later that night. I'll take notes for you, Nakia. I'll see if I can grab some screenshots, but I doubt I'll be able to. All right, so more on that tomorrow. All right, let's talk a little bit about the West Memphis 3. Now, this case is one of the first cases that really got me interested in understanding what true crime was and what that means. The interest in it, trying to understand how these crimes happen. I didn't quite get it, when I was younger. But we really don't have any answers with this case. You have 3 young boys that can be brutally murdered in the middle of the day, just like Abby and Livy, tortured, and we have nothing. We have something. I won't call it nothing, but it's not justice. I don't know really what you would call it, to be honest. Thank you, Jari. I should never have been released, in my opinion. Still feel they are guilty. Yep. I mean, listening to Jesse's confession is very disturbing. He gives details about things that have really nothing to do with the crime itself. Like him talking about how the guys were, I don't know, what would you call it? Giving each other fellatio, I guess. Like shortly before the crimes happened. Like he's giving us an idea of the scene of what we're looking at. We're looking at people who recently partook in a satanic ceremonies where they're eating animals, talking about killing. Now they're performing fellatio on each other. And then here comes these young 3 boys that apparently they've been grooming. They have photos of them. I mean, yeah, they did it. So if there's going to be any DNA testing, I think it just might prove prove that they did do this. And if there is anything detectable that further proves that they were responsible, I hope that's considered new evidence. I think Damien rolled the dice with this one. Part of the Alfred plea was that they could never, ever, ever test that. Right? So it's kind of like a bluff. Knowing that this is a stipulation of an Alfred plea, then you could go out there and advocate for it, trying to make yourself look innocent. Like, oh, I want a new test done. I want it done right away, knowing damn well that it's part of your agreement. But now they've okayed it. So now what? This truly could prove whether they're innocent or not. In my opinion, I don't understand how you can do what they did without leaving any DNA. It's probably going to bring back Jason's DNA, if anybody's. I think, right? Wasn't it according to Jesse? According to his confession, wasn't it him? Jason that tied them up? Remember, he's the one with the knife and tying up the boys and all that stuff. It's going to be shoelaces and hair, from my understanding. All having to do with the shoelaces, though. Convicted in 1994 for the murders of 3 boys. Released in 2011 via an Alfred plea. New DNA testing of hairs and ligatures approved August 1st, 2025 by Crittenden County Judge aims to exonerate Damian Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Misskelley using MVAC technology with results expected soon, this year. Cindy says they aren't testing clothing with potential seminal fluid. Is that a question? I don't know the answer to that. Here, I have a video we can watch. This is a local news report. Let's take a look here.
Happy Friday. Tonight we start with new developments in the West Memphis 3 case. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Rolly Hoyks.
And I'm Faith Woodard. In May of 1993, the bodies of 8-year-old Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers were found in the Robin Hills neighborhood of West Memphis.
Police there arrested Jesse Misskelley, Jason Baldwin, and Damian Echols for those murders. During a trial, the jury found Baldwin and Misskelley guilty of 3 counts of capital murder, both getting life sentences. The verdict sent Echols to the death row.
After over 18 years in prison, the 3 accepted an Alford plea, which allowed them to maintain their innocence but plead guilty. Then in 2021, a new development in the case, new laws opening the door to test old DNA with new technology. And tonight, Catherine Rowley continues this 11 News investigation after spending the day reading the order and talking to people connected to the case.
Rowley and Faith, in 2021, this box right behind me was uncovered after attorneys were told that it had been destroyed in a fire. Now that box contained the ligatures that the boys were bound with when they were found. DNA technology at the time of the murders wasn't anywhere near that level that we have today. But thanks to those state laws, it is now set to be tested, opening the door to new hope for the West Memphis 3 in the case. Arkansas Act 1780 allows people convicted of a crime to seek post-conviction relief based on new scientific evidence that could prove their innocence. Damian Echols brought this to a Crittenden County judge. That case made its way all the way to the Arkansas Supreme Court decision that reversed the original ruling. In the agreement signed on Friday, the state agreed to send the ligatures, hairs found at and near the scene, in for testing. In total, there are about 15 different DNA samples that were collected from the crime scene that are now going to be tested. Also in that order, the hair of Terry Hobbs, the stepfather of Stevie Branch. I asked Patrick Banka, Damian Echols' attorney, how significant this order is for the DNA to be tested. He said that it starts the process of having those ties tested by this new method of DNA extraction and believes that the killer or killers could be identified upon the completion of the testing. He also said that this ruling paves the way for those who have been trying to prove their actual innocence.
If they don't find Jason or Damian or Jesse's DNA, I think it's going to help them out pretty good. At least in my eyes. I don't think it's going to exonerate them, but I think that's a good start. But I think that this whole thing's going to backfire. I think it's going to actually prove that they were involved. And maybe even somebody else, maybe an adult. They were doing some weird shit. Sometimes there's an adult that's involved with that, right? A ringleader, a cult leader. But that could be him. He was close to 18. He might be that figure, for that cult. You never know. All right, you guys have anything to add on that? That's all I had on the West Memphis 3. That's interesting, Cindy. I get what you're saying now. Yeah, court calling their bluff. I can't wait, honestly. All right. So while we're talking about DNA testing and technology, let's talk about the Evansdale case, the Lyric and Elizabeth. Now, when it comes to this case, this could be huge. What if they find something and it matches something they have in the database? That can open this case wide open. It could confirm some things, or it can shed some light on some unexpected names or somebody who's actually responsible for this.
A decade, investigators have been searching for who abducted and killed Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook Morrissey.
Yeah, Sunday marks 13 years since 8-year-old Elizabeth and a 10-year-old Lyric disappeared while riding their bikes.
Real quick, let's go to Jari about the West Memphis 3. They can't be tried again, can they? I don't know. I feel like this would fall under the category of new evidence. You know, you have double jeopardy. I don't know if it's similar to that, but I know double jeopardy, let's say they're found not guilty, and then there's a new witness or a new videotape or some kind of physical evidence, they can recharge you. So there are some exceptions. Sorry. Inquisitive, what's up? Off topic. You may have covered this already, but I saw on Surviving the Survivor that Austin Drummond was a confirmed member of the Vice Lords and has connections to DOC staff. That may explain. I did see that, Inquisitive. And we'll get into that further. We're going to be talking about that case here in just a few.
Now, hunters found their bodies 5 months later. Since 2012, investigators have followed 2,000 leads, but have not made any arrests for the cousins' murders. Now, new technology could give investigators new perspective.
There's things that you can do now in 2025 that we weren't able to do down, in 2020 or 2012.
Guys. Now, Scott Reger with the Iowa Department of Criminal Investigation says one tool they've had since April, called the STAR Mix, can help separate DNA from multiple people. They can even look at DNA evidence years later or after being exposed to weather.
So now we're able to say much more about a minor component of a DNA in a mixture, which quite often is the really probative
Fingers
evidence,
crossed.
or the important part of the mixture that we need.
Over the years, the DCI Crime Lab has done 20 reports on DNA testing on evidence connected to the Evansdale case. Years later, the cousins' parents aren't giving up hope that they'll one day get closure.
It's a roller coaster, and you just gotta
what up,
hold
Drew?
on for dear life. And I know we're in it for the long haul. We're not slowing down. The police aren't slowing down.
Investigators are also remaining hopeful, saying they're optimistic they'll finally answer the questions: who killed Lyric and Elizabeth? A decade.
The $1 million question. So that case is definitely solvable. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze there for a second. False alarm. So I'm anticipating some big news on both those cases, West Memphis 3 and the Evansdale case. Like I said, fingers crossed, right? All right, because of time, let's dive into the Asia Degree case. This is actually very interesting for those of you who might be following this. So the Deadmans are the ones who were accused, right? Here, let me go to my notes. Okay, so we had breaking news September of 2024. Search warrants, suspects, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, FBI, North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation executed search warrants on multiple properties. Excuse me. Linked to Roy Deadman and Connie Elliott Deadman, who were named as suspects. These properties included a home on Cherryville Road in Shelby, another in Charlotte, and an assisted living facility in Vale. A 1964 AMC Rambler resembling a vehicle described in earlier witness accounts, a dark green car with rusty wheel wells, was seized from the Deadman's property. The vehicle was registered to Roy Deadman, though his daughter Sarah Gwen Capel stated it was given to her at age 16. Very interesting. But we're going to hear the accused speak, family members of the accused, and they put quite the spin on it. They had DNA from Asia's backpack and undershirt linked to two individuals to the case, Anna Lee Dedman Ramirez, the youngest daughter of Roy and Connie Dedman, and Russell Underhill, a former resident of care facilities operated by the Dedmans. Underhill, who died in 2004, was not related to the family but was associated with them. The DNA on the undershirt was genetically identical to a sample from Anna Lee, who was 13 at the time of Asia's disappearance. Investigators believe the Dedmans' involvement, given the ages of their daughters, 16, 15, and 13 in 2000, likely required adult assistance in the crime or in concealment. And then you had alleged confessions. In September of 2024, a witness reported to Cleveland County Sheriff's Office that the mid-2000s, at a house party, Lizzie Dedman Foster, then 16 at the time of Asia's disappearance, was intoxicated and allegedly said, "I killed Asia Degree." The witness claimed her sister, Sarah Dedman Capel, angrily told her to shut the F up and grabbed her head. The witness passed a polygraph test, while Lizzie Foster was found deceptive when asked if she was concealing information during a polygraph in February of 2025. So what the hell happened? You know, we thought this case was going to be closed soon. Text messages from Lizzie's phone seized in February of 2025 included exchanges with her sisters, Anna Lee and Sarah, expressing fear and urging silence. One message from Lizzie to her ex-husband stated, "She caused this." It almost sounds like an accident, right? She hit the kid. Maybe she was drinking. She hit Asia and then tried to like dispose of her body or something. And had help from her parents. Like she came to them and said, "Hey, I did something horrible. I killed this young girl. What do I do?" And they said, "Well, have you been drinking?" "Yeah." Well, them knowing that she would get vehicular manslaughter, they chose to try to cover it up. Or it could be something much worse. The Dedmans, through spokesperson Skip Foster, denied involvement, claiming the AMC Rambler was not registered to them until a month after Asia's disappearance. Their attorney, David Teddy, suggested the investigation might point to Russell Underhill as the culprit, noting his death in 2004. The family expressed frustration with public scrutiny, but stated they want answers as much as Asia's family. No charges have been filed against the Dedmans as of February of this month. Here, I think I have a video on this one.
Tonight, the family named as suspects in the Asia Degree.
Hold on, I'm getting some weird feedback. I'll be right back. Give me a second, guys. All right. Hopefully that helps. Share my screen again.
The family named as suspects in the Asia Degree case are sharing their side for the first time. You might remember in September, Roy and Connie Dedman were listed as suspects with 5 properties connected to them being searched.
That's right. But tonight, no one has been charged in the case. And of course, Asia is still missing. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King spoke with the Dedman spokesperson about what they say the family is being threatened.
What's up, Peggy?
Yeah, it's been 25 years of questions, rumors, and heartbreak. And tonight, the family who once owned the property.
Diamonds is asking, have they found her body? No, they haven't. They found her trail. You know, it's obvious that they buried her somewhere and just dumped her stuff, like many other cases. Very similar. Look at the Morphew case, right? Same thing.
properties and the car at the center of last year's search, says they've been quiet long enough.
Frustrated, and they're angry, and they're scared.
25.
I think these killers, I think in their mind, they're thinking, I'm just going to spread it out, right? I'm not going to keep it all consolidated anywhere near me. It's random, but it's really not random, right? There's nothing random about a killer. Even his subconscious decisions are telling us a story if we pay close enough attention. But I think that's what they're thinking, right? I'm going to dump all this evidence here. I'm going to dump some here. I believe they're thinking that spreading it out is somehow helping them.
Long years and still no answers. Last September, a search warrant brought investigators to 5 properties across Cleveland, Lincoln, and Mecklenburg counties owned by the Dedmon family. The Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
Let's go to Mamager. What about the car in Moss Lake they pulled out in 2022? I think they actually did tie that to another case, actually.
It says one key aspect.
But I don't know. Right off the top, I can't refresh my
of the search. This green AMC Rambler thought to be connected to Aisha's disappearance.
They didn't own the car at the time Aisha disappeared.
Records showed the family didn't take ownership of the car until 1 month after Aisha went missing.
Okay, so just saying that they didn't take ownership doesn't mean that they weren't in possession physically of the vehicle, right? Maybe they, the fact that they took ownership just a month later could also show evidence of them trying to control the narrative, right? We can't sell this. That way they'll be able to test it. What we need to do is hide it. Where'd you get this car from? Oh, we bought it from the Dedmons. Oh, interesting. Then they start to investigate further.
The whole community has this theory of the crime. There's been threats. There's been people calling them horrible names.
The Dedmon says since then they've been targets of hate, and this has gone too far. And while investigators continue to comb through evidence, the Degree family is still waiting for that one piece that could bring closure to years of heartache. Now, this is still an active investigation, and the reward for information leading to an arrest on this case now sits at $100,000.
I think this case will be solved. They have so much to go on. I think they're going to figure this one out. Yeah, $100,000. So fingers crossed on that one too. I mean, they have DNA. They have a lot of circumstantial stuff. I think they have everything they need. They just need somebody to talk, and I think they're on the verge of that. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's get. We are at the 1 hour, top of the first hour. We still have a couple news stories to cover, so we are a little bit behind. All right, let's take a look at the teacher suspected of killing Arkansas's hikers.
Of the suspect accused in a horrifying double murder in Arkansas shows him being booked into jail after his arrest. Prosecutors say Andrew James McGann admitted to killing Clinton and Kristen Brink, the doting parents of 3 young children, while they were on a family hike at Devil's Den State Park.
He made statements indicating that he had committed these heinous acts.
According to a report released by prosecutors, a witness at the park where the couple was killed saw a man with blood on his face driving off in a black Kia Stinger.
So, see, they had other witnesses who knew exactly what type of car it was. And then you had some of these other people who were coming out on social media saying they saw like a Mazda. But the truth is they had a couple of other witnesses that they didn't want to talk about. They knew exactly what he was driving.
Authorities say they located that car outside of a local barbershop where McGann was getting a haircut.
I had chills as soon as I kind of saw through the hair that was in his forehead. I saw his brims of his eyes. They were very sunken.
Prosecutors also saying McGann had cuts on his hand and that police found what appeared to be blood inside of his car. According to those authorities, they were later able to match DNA from McGann's hair.
All right. See, so it's almost as if he's done this before. Maybe the first time he did it, he cut his hand. This time he wore gloves, but he still cut his hand. And that's how you can kind of see these killers evolve. You'll see the mistakes that they made in one. And then if you're trying to look for a pattern between two different crime scenes, you have to kind of look for an evolution, correcting mistakes from the first time.
To blood found at the crime scene. Police say they believe McGann attacked the father first while his wife tried to save their daughters.
We believe that the mother took them to safety and then returned to help
might
her,
be bad
to help her
actors.
husband.
Might be.
Investigators say they found no connection between the suspect and the victims. It comes as NBC News has learned McGann taught at 4 schools in 4 years, including Texas, where Sierra Markham said her son was in
Listen to
his
this
4th grade
shit.
class. What kind of things did your son see that made him
This
so
is
upset?
awful.
So he told me that him and several classmates had noticed Mr. McGann paying extra attention to certain girls in class. He was just very touchy, always touching them, hugging them.
The school district says they found no evidence of inappropriate behavior, but placed McGann on administrative leave for classroom management and judgment issues in 2023 before he resigned in May of that year.
All right, so here's the latest, guys. Andrew McGann is expected in court today for a bond hearing. NBC News has.
Yeah, hopefully they get that one wrapped up sooner than later. And now we have this guy, Austin Drummond. Now, this is a literal manhunt, and it appears that they're right on his trail. This was put on, I believe, X this morning. Yeah, notice the dog. And they're just kind of following behind the dog. So he may have been spotted running through this area. There's rumors that he's part of a gang, Vice Lords. Maybe something he got involved with while he was in prison. These 4 people have also been charged in connection with the cover-up, aiding and abetting. School districts need to stop being afraid of lawsuits. That's all they care about. They don't care about the kids. They need to hire people that know a little bit more about human behavior, right? If we're going to be trusting our children with them. I mean, that's an obvious red flag. You got this guy tickling young girls. Like, I'll beat the shit out of somebody if I heard that. I remember one time when my oldest daughter was really young. I think she was in kindergarten or 1st grade. Well, it wasn't her classroom, but it was a classroom next to her. I was picking her up one day, and the cops were all over the place. I was like, what the hell happened? And news was there. I was like, oh, shit, what happened? I was like, where's my girl at? And I found her, and I asked a parent. I was like, well, what happened? Well, apparently the kids were kind of teasing the teacher and kind of pressing his buttons. They were all kind of taking their shirt and lifting it up over their heads. So I guess they wouldn't stop doing it. Every time he turned around, they were like lifting their shirts over their heads. And what's that? So he told him to stop doing it, and apparently the little girl, she took her shirt and put it over her head, not really thinking about exposing herself. She was just joining the group. Well, he got all pissed off, ran over, yanked her shirt over her head and off of her body. Left this like 6-year-old girl, her upper part of her body just completely exposed to her entire classroom. I don't know about you, but I would have been in prison. Blood would have spilled that day. Davey, what Mazda? Hey, Country Sleuth, I've got some info about the Drummond case. They have a video of him off Oil Well Road and Picking Road last night. I used to live in Jackson a few years ago. Can you send it to me? Can you tell me where to find it? That's what Cindy was suggesting. Oh, yeah, this guy's beyond an idiot. He's not far. I think this is where they were searching, in this area right here. Cherry Grove Apartments. So they were kind of checking these apartment complexes. And the field we were looking at, I think, is right here. We're going in this direction. Good to see you, Peggy. Timmy. 100%. So he is still on the loose. And that's going to do it for the Sleuth Crew news. For the sake of time, we're going to keep it moving. Close some of these windows down. All right, let's get into it. Compartmentalized killers. What are we talking about? When we say a killer is compartmentalized, we usually mean they live a double life. Acting normal or even charming in public while hiding their violent or deviant behavior. Mark, are cops close on this guy's ass? Yeah. Apparently he was sighted earlier today, and they were tracking him. It appears he's in the woods, hiding. So, yeah, I think they're going to get him pretty soon. All right. So, I mean, what is compartmentalization? So the way I look at it is it's like mentally creating boxes and putting different parts of your personality or behavior into those boxes and making sure that they don't touch or interfere with each other. So basically BTK, acting normal or even charming in public while hiding their violent or deviant behavior. Emotionally detached from their crimes. They can murder someone and then go home to their family as if nothing happened. Who does that remind you of? Thanks for the email. Let me see if I can pull that up. Hold that thought. I want to take a look at this email here. Just bear with me a minute. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yep, absolutely. Richard Allen went home, went to sleep. His wife Kathy came home around 5:30, and he was asleep on the couch. He was probably drained. You know, getting your adrenaline all the way up there and doing something like that, his energy levels were probably burnt. You know, normal person would be so distraught, like, oh my God, what have I done? What I got to tell the police. You know, it's over for me. Him, he's like, I'm going to go take a nap and then act like nothing happened. All right. Thank you for the email. Following those instructions now. And of course, I dropped my pencil. Oh, wait. Man claiming to be Austin Drummond's father releases a statement. Oh, shit. Okay, thank you. I'm like trying to follow your instructions. I feel like I'm part of the Goonies. We got you now, Chester Copperpot. Yeah, I can't figure it out. I can't find it. I need a link. I found this Burton Staggs guy, but let's go to father claiming to be his father releases a statement here. Let me pull this up. Sorry, if you find a link, let me know. There are no words for the level of sadness we feel for the 4 young lives that were taken. The thought that our son could be responsible for such a tragedy is devastating. We urge Austin to turn himself in and end the panic and misery so many are feeling. The Drummond family. What the? All right, let's get back to this. Okay. So, killers who compartmentalize also don't experience cognitive dissonance. Well, they experience dissonance, but not the way that we do. Their brain keeps their criminal self in a box separate from their everyday identity. The reason this matters, compartmentalization makes these killers harder to detect. They blend into society. It shows a level of cognitive control and calculation, unlike crimes committed in a psychotic or emotional state, right? Crimes of passion. Profilers often use signs of compartmentalization to distinguish between organized and disorganized offenders, right? That's probably more of a sign of organized. Good to see you, CJK. It's our time. It's our time down here. It's our time down here. It's their time up there. All right, let's look at the personality disorders of killers. We'll start with antisocial personality disorder. Core traits: lack of empathy, remorse, or guilt. Chronic disregard for the rights of others. Manipulative, deceitful, impulsive, often violent, or showing signs of criminal behavior. Common in high-profile killers such as Ted Bundy and Richard Ramirez. Organized killers who manipulate victims before killing. Now, don't confuse antisocial personality with sociopathy or psychopathy. Yeah, if we can have a Happy Gilmore, we can have a Goonies too. Okay, narcissistic personality disorder. Core traits: grandiose sense of self-importance, need for admiration, fragile ego, exploitation of others without guilt, rage when their self-image is threatened. Common in killers who feel entitled to attention, revenge, or power. Mass shooters or killers with a manifesto or God complex. Right? Elliot Rodgers. Look at that. Look at his mugshot. He's a lot like Bryan Kohberger. Dark-hearted to the core. All right. Number 3, borderline personality disorder. Core traits: emotional instability, impulsivity. Right? That's the scariest type. The impulsive type. You know, those are the ones those are the types that scare me for our children. Intense fear of abandonment. Idolization, devaluation of friendships, self-harm, suicidal behavior, or explosive rage. A lot of these compartmentalized killers, when they're asked, well, what about the anger? They say there is no anger. It's rage. It's like, damn, okay. You know, trying to help us understand what it is that they feel. This impulsive anger that's uncontrollable. Borderline personality disorder is more common in crimes of passion offenders and female killers. For example, some family annihilators or revenge murderers, domestic or interpersonal homicides. Now, borderline personality is not inherently violent, but when paired with other traits or comorbid disorders like substance abuse or PTSD, risk escalates. Now, comorbid just means a combination of illnesses, kind of like you're stacking them. So if you have these comorbid health issues, and then on top of that, you have this kind of a personality disorder, the likeliness that you'll perpetrate a violent crime is increased. It's not a guarantee. Paranoid personality disorder. Core traits: extreme distrust and suspicion of others. Oh shit, I can check that box. Hypersensitivity to perceived insults. Not me, I could care less. Grudge holding, belief in hidden motives. May act preemptively or violently against imagined threats. We've seen that in lone actor terrorists, stalkers, or revenge-based killers, especially those with delusional thinking. Which most stalkers, you know, they have delusional thinking. Thank you, Jari. If you guys want to help out, hit the Cash App. If you can't hit the Cash App, hit the like button. All right, we just got a few more. Let's talk about psychopathy. Psychopathy is measured by tools like the Hare Psychopathy Checklist Revised. So I was reading that today. Let's see. And these are the traits that I try to tell you guys about. Psychopaths often display superficial charm, right? We talk about that often. That's what I thought about during Richard Allen's interview when they said, you're free to leave, Mr. Allen. And he kind of got up and acted like he was going to leave. And he made a joke and they all laughed like, ha ha ha. But really, he knew he was never going to leave. He's going to sit there as long as they would allow him so he can hear what they have to say. But that was his superficial charm, making a joke like, oh, here, I'm going to act like I'm leaving, but I'm really not. Callousness. You know, that's a word we don't use often. Insensitive and cruel disregard for others. Just callous. Thank you, Jari. And if you guys want to email me, Jari posted my email address up there. Don't be shy. Right. High intelligence. Ted Bundy. You could probably even fit Bryan Kohberger in there. Ability to mimic emotions. That's your chameleon. Lack of anxiety or fear. Famous examples: Jeffrey Dahmer, Dennis Rader, John Wayne Gacy. Not all psychopaths are killers, but those who tend to be methodical, calculated, and remorseless. So killers that happen to be psychopaths, not all psychopaths are killers, but those who are tend to be methodical, calculated, and remorseless. Chris Watts, that's a great example. He just, he didn't care at all. He could care less. He just wanted to start a new family with this new girl that had him all energized. And to appear psychopath, shedding your old family for a new one really isn't that far-fetched. It's like it's in the playbook because you have no empathy. All right, let's do this. And then we'll get out of here. Well, actually, there's a couple things I want to do before we get to that. You guys ever watch The Sopranos? Sometimes I talk about Tony Soprano and how great these writers are, and how if you're looking closely at the character that they've written, Tony Soprano, he has personality disorders. He has I think he's a sociopath, is what they refer to him as. But I found this interesting. All right, so in The Sopranos, Tony Soprano's emotional displays often involve animals. And we've discussed this type of personality disorder, particularly ducks and a racehorse named Pio Mai, rather than humans. This is partly because he projects his own emotions and anxieties onto them, viewing them as symbols of innocence, family, or his own struggle with control and morality. Right? He has no feelings really towards his family. He can't bond with them. He doesn't even know that he needs to bond. He wouldn't know what the bond was if it was happening. But for whatever reason, he's able to do that with animals, unlike humans. Right? They cannot betray or judge him. And that provides a safe outlet. The ducks as a symbol of family. Here, let me play a quick little video. So we got this stone cold psychotic killer, Tony Soprano, who they did their best to humanize in the Sopranos series, gushing over these ducks.
National Geographic. Yeah, you showed us yesterday.
Look, they're trying to fly.
But really what he's doing is he's projecting the love that he wished he could project on his family onto those ducks. And then you have the Pio Mai, which is a racehorse that he fell in love with and actually ended up killing another man over. Tony's attachment to the racehorse Pio Mai reveals a softer, more compassionate side of his personality, which is often overshadowed by his life as a mob boss. Let's see. His strong reaction to animals like the horse's illness or the loss of a pet allow him to experience grief and compassion that he struggles to express in his relationships with people. Here's another scene.
Let's get back to Pyomai.
So Pyomai is the horse. One of his mafia crew members owned the horse. He fell in love with it, right? Because that's his only outlet. He can't show real love to his family members because of the way he views other humans, right? Zero empathy. So he needs an outlet. He uses animals for that. So that's a trait of a sociopath.
It's sad that you've lost something that you love. That being said, it is a horse.
What the fuck is the matter with you?
What the fuck is the matter with you? She's like, it's a horse. Like, you're treating it as if it was your mother, right? He never showed any remorse when his mother died. But here's this horse, and it's just the waterworks come.
The only other time you've become this emotional in here, it was those ducks.
That was different.
That was different. He plays that part so well. Let's see. I think there's another part of that. Let's go.
Best friend.
Can't I just be sad for a horse without some touchy-feely Freudian shit component to it?
I thought that was funny. Right? He's in therapy and he's like, why are you psychoanalyzing me? She's like, well, that's my job, dude. Interesting. Here, maybe I'll read a little bit more on that. The absence of a human connection. Tony's difficulty connecting with humans, particularly his family, is a recurring theme. His inability to express his emotions directly leads to project them onto animals, which he sees as more pure and less complicated. Some interpretations suggest that Tony's sentimentality towards animal is a trait often seen in sociopaths who may display empathy for animals or babies while lacking it for adults. So I thought that was very interesting. Kind of a side note. And then we'll finish here. Thank you, Peggy. All right, let's get back to compartmentalized killers. Okay, high-profile killers and associated personality disorders. Ted Bundy, antisocial, psychopathy, antisocial, and narcissistic. Key traits: superficial charm, manipulative, no remorse, grandiose. Jeffrey Dahmer, borderline, schizo, possibly antisocial. Traits: social isolation, obsessive, remorseful, disassociative. Remember, Jeffrey Dahmer would sit down with his family. They all seemed healthy. I don't believe there was any early childhood trauma or anything like that. He seemed normal. He was able to compartmentalize that bloodthirst. He was able to put his monster in a little box and put it in the back of his mind where he could go retrieve it when he was alone or feeling more comfortable. And then he could put on a mask when he was out in public because he's very calculated. John Wayne Gacy, narcissistic, antisocial. Some of those traits: charismatic persona, double life, lack of empathy, right? He was a well-known politician. He was always networking, throwing little house parties. Dennis Rader, the BTK, narcissistic, antisocial, OCD traits. Jari says his parents divorced early and he felt abandoned. Is that Jeffrey Dahmer? Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Dennis Rader, ritualistic, control-driven, ego-driven, methodical. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Antisocial, possibly paranoid schizophrenia. Some of those traits: sadistic, remorseless, delusional, spiritual beliefs. Remember, he was into Satanism and things like that. He called humanity bloodthirsty, and he was just acting in accordance. Ed Kemper, who was a very interesting person. He was very well liked, very social. Here he was borderline. He was also paranoid, narcissistic traits, deep maternal resentment. I think Richard Allen had some of that going on. Deep maternal resentment, emotional dysregulation, manipulative. Eileen Wuornos, borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, fear of abandonment, impulsive violence, traumatic history. Elliot Rodger, narcissistic, schizophrenic, also antisocial. Some of those traits: entitlement, sexual resentment, grandiosity. Peggy says it scares me the most, maybe because of his size. Yeah, Ed Kemper was a large American. I think he was often referred to as an ogre too, like Rex Heuermann. Yeah, these guys, you got to try to understand why they do the things that they do. But typically, they're just like normal people, right? They're living normal lives. They have families, they have friends, they have a job. But when they're all alone, the beast, the monster, the demon that they've kept in a box all day, right? All day they've been trying to control their impulse. But now they're alone. They're in their safe place, right? Out comes the demon. But only for self-preservation. Not for true dissonance. It's all the only dissonance they experience is ego driven. You know, we experience that too, but much more complex. That's all they really have. That's all they experience. Let's do one more. Israel Keys, psychopath, antisocial, controlled, compartmentalized, emotionally detached. All right, guys, that's all I had for you. That is it. We'll hang out for a minute or two if you guys have anything to add. But hopefully I touched on most of the news updates that are out there. We'll get together again tomorrow for sure. Thank you all for hanging out. It was good to see you, Peggy O, Jari, my guy Mark. YouTube Bad Actors is in the building. Davey, thank you so much, Davey. Timmy, Country Boy. Cindy Lean. Mamager. Return the Diamonds. Inquisitive. Christine, the whole Sleuth Crew. Shout out to you guys. Remember, we're 100% crowdfunded. So if you could hit the Cash App, we would greatly appreciate it. Most of these funds are used for our boots on the ground excursions. That helps to speed up the process. Typically, we're just waiting until the funds are right, fill up the gas tank, and hit the road. So if you guys want to be part of that, there you go. And if you can't hit the Cash App, just hit the like button. It's right there. Just click it. and Fishy. Can't forget about Fishy. Thanks, Peggy. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jari, and everybody else. And as far as the replay crew, sorry that we missed you guys. And we do miss you. But leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And I'll do my best to get back to you. And guys, we are approaching 10K subscribers. Big time. We're getting into the big leagues now, huh? So once we hit the 10K, we'll do like a little celebration. I plan to give away some t-shirts and things like that. And we'll just hang out. Won't, try not to take it too serious. So I'll see you guys a little bit later. And keep a lookout for the notification on that. And tomorrow, the new Delphi documentary is coming out. It's going to be on Hulu. You guys go watch it. We're going to get together later tomorrow night, and we're going to have our Sleuth Crew review. It's a 3-part series. This will be part 1, and we'll continue to follow up on it all the way through part 3. Double digits, big time. Big time. Yeah, we're rolling with the big dogs now. All right, guys, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I promise you, I will see you soon.
I rest my case.